drucken, oder?
Great. Now I can go back to my inspection.
Okay, wo fangen wir als nächstes an? Wahrscheinlich mit aufschneiden, oder?
I'll start the internal examination by taking fluid from the victim's brain. A needle inserted through the nose will do the trick. If the victim was alive when she fell into the well, she must have swallowed water fighting for her life. And then diatoms, characteristics of pooled water like a well, got into the body. In the meantime, I'll check the sample under the microscope. I'm sure that these algae traces will be found in the samples taken from the well where police found the body.
Ich schau mir das an unter dem Mikroskop. Hier ist doch... Ihr habt nichts gesehen.
Now I need to adjust the knobs properly and place the diatom in the center of the slide. Diatoms are single-celled microscopic algae.
Ja, schön.
The aperture still needs adjustment. The image is too dark. Oh, I'm finally starting to see something here. Nah, too much light. Oh, I'm finally starting to see something here. I won't even notice an army of diatoms from this distance.
Warte mal.
Great. This way I'll see if I'm dealing with a large concentration. It's not a dirty lens. And perfect. It's not a dirty lens, I'm afraid, but rather a bad focus. And perfect.
Ja, und weiter? Also bewegen.
As expected, we find the aforementioned algae in the solution. Their upper part, epitheca, which overlaps the lower, hypotheca, is clearly visible.
Okay.
The presence of diatoms in the brain samples taken indicate that the deceased was certainly alive when she fell into the water and was possibly conscious.
Ja. Habe ich mir schon gedacht.
There were diatoms in the brain, it means that many more of them must have entered the body. Studies of the rest of the organs will most likely confirm this hypothesis.
Ja, genau. Glaube ja.
I can finally get to the practical part. I must be extra careful because the skin of the deceased is very stretched. I wouldn't want an explosion here.
It's slimy.
You can immediately see a very large swelling of the organs. In addition, all internal organs are very congested.
It's slimy.
I proceed to remove the rib cage.
Den Brustkorb. Mache ich mit wo sind die Gartenschau? Da.
It's easy to see that the ribs have been imprinted in the lungs. So, I'm going to start by drawing blood from the lungs for testing for diatoms. If diatoms were only present in the lungs, this would mean that the victim was placed in the well after death, and the perpetrator wanted to get rid of the corpse in this way. Now, I remove the lungs and proceed to their examination. Taking the lungs in my hand, I feel that the tissues have lost their elasticity, which is the result of water emphysema. In addition, there is significant swelling of the organs, and as a result, we have a nice imprint of the ribs. The emphysema itself, it's clear how far it's progressed, which is characteristic of drowning.
Okay. So muss er dran. So. Gut.
Corpses found
Das
in
wieder
water
drinnen.
are worth examining with a tomograph. However, I can't count on such luxuries, so I must reach for a more archaic technology. A bucket and water.
Was? Also, was? Da ist... Brauche ich nicht in den Lagerraum gehen. Blick. Nein. Nein. Leute. Hey, er ist da. Hey, er schnorcht schon wieder. Ich bin wenigstens nicht alleine.
Who? Has anyone been here?
Ja. Du kommst aber auch früh drauf.
No one dipped a mop in it. It's best to go to the lab for this.
Ich gehe mit meinen Eimer und mein Eimer mit mir. Ja, oder? Hier kann man... So.
The water should be at room temperature. That's enough.
Was macht er?
To test
Was
for
mache ich?
this, I have to place the lungs in a container of water. This checks if there is air in the lungs. And speaking of lungs, everything is ready to bring them here. Oh, Jesus.
Ei! Caramba! Da geht's heute aber schon früh los.
Of course, such a study isn't without flaws. Air may have entered a newborn's airways during resuscitation attempts. Gases released during decomposition could also give a false result. In this case, however, it's about something else, namely, the amount of fluid in the lungs.
Hey, hast du Lust auf Brotzeit? Hab da was Leckeres mitgebracht. Schneid mal an. Lecker. Ja. Stell's vor, die Kanzel hat auf, während das Ding, das...
To test for this, I have to place the lungs in a container of water and wait to see if they fall or if they will float on the surface.
Okay, wenn sie sinkt, ist sie ohne... Ich möchte die Lunge ins Wasser... Wenn sie schwimmt, ist Luft drin. Ah.
Just as I assumed, the
Sie
lungs
ist voller
collapsed easily.
Wasser. Okay. Krieg ich die Lunge bitte wieder? Heute gibt's Lungenbraten.
Fluid could have entered the lungs during panic attempts to catch breath underwater, but it could also be the result of bacterial infections or cancer, so further investigation is needed.
Na klar. Einer. Ich will nichts sagen, aber
I
bitte.
move on to dissecting the lungs of the deceased.
Bei aller Liebe, aber bei einer
You can hear the
Wasserleiche.
distinct, very unpleasant crackling of the tissues being cut through.
Bei der Wasserleiche muss ich nachschauen, warum Flüssigkeit in der Lunge kollabiert ist, weil es könnte auch Krebs sein.
The parenchyma is remarkably pale, although small hemorrhagic foci and petechia are present on the surface.
Es gibt halt immer wieder Leute, die gerne irgendwelche Werbungen schreiben.
All right. Now, I will check the collected fluid under a microscope. If we find 20 diatoms on the slide, it can be considered drowning, and our result is not false positive due to possible contaminations.
Ergibt sich für mich nicht der Sinn, aber
Let's see. Although I expect the apertures. Oh, I'm finally starting to see something here. I won't even notice an army of diatoms from this distance. Great. This way I'll see if I'm dealing with a large concentration of these algae. It's not a dirty lens, I'm afraid, but rather a bad focus. And perfect.
Sag mal was? Ich sehe nicht viel. Ah. Oh ja, hier.
As expected. In solution, the diatoms are clearly visible. There are smaller and larger clusters of them. There will definitely be more than 20 of them.
Gut, haben wir das auch.
I'll make a note of all this.
Okay.
So far, this case looks pretty standard.
Ja.
It's clear from the beginning that it's drowning. Well, the procedure requires me to check everything anyway.
Okay, ja, das schaut wirklich danach aus, ja?
So, I move on to checking the other organs. I ligate the heart, and then remove it for inspection.
Oh ja,
Strongly
ja.
developed putrefactic hemolysis, the organ can be seen at first glance. Apart from that, no signs of a heart attack or other heart disease.
Da war's, okay. Stark ausgeprägte Fäulnis. Ja, das ist von mir trinken, ja.
I move on to the next organ. This time, it's the
Leber. Wo gestern meine Leber war, ist heute eine Minibar.
It's immediately apparent that the deceased didn't care for herself. Like most organs, her liver is enlarged and severely congested. The
Ja, aber
beginnings
sie
of
nimmt
cirrhosis are
Medikamente.
visible in some areas.
Ja. Sie nimmt aber auch starke Medikamente wegen der bipolaren Störung und Medikamente gingen aber auch auf die Leber.
I transfer the organ to a board and proceed to dissect.
Möchte ich nur so sagen.
The cross-section clearly shows dilated veins and many small hemorrhagic foci.
Ja,
I must
bedeutet,
admit that this is quite a feat, considering the rather young age of the deceased.
naja, wenn es wirklich die Medikamente nimmt, wie gesagt, kommt drauf,
Heart
wie stark die
injury drinking so
Medikamente.
much that she might not have lasted a few more years.
Was beim anderen ist er so genau, da geht er her, oh, es muss genau, wird das genau gemacht und alles mögliche. Aber bei dem geht er sofort, du hast gesoffen wie ein Lauch. Beim anderen, hey, bei der Wasserleiche müssen wir Krebs in der Lunge ausschließen. Damit die nicht vielleicht am Krebs gestorben ist. Aber bei der Leber einmal durchgeschnitten, ja, aber ja, das ist Alkoholikerin.
I move on to the stomach. I take a sample of the fluid for testing.
Ja. Ich war immer wieder mal die. Wupp. Saugan!
It looks very turbid. I'll see what happens after spinning, but that's in a moment. Now, I carefully ligate the organ, then cut it off. It's enlarged,
Okay.
probably full of
Ja.
putrid gases.
Ja, das wird super
I
geil
transfer to
werden.
the board and carefully open it, checking the contents.
Der macht dann einen großen Plätsch. Schauen wir mal, ob ich das...
One thing you'd never get used to is how much this desk smells.
Ups. Ich mach das gerade mit dem Controller. Es einfacher geht, als mit der Maus da 20.000 Mal herumfahren. Yep.
Okay, the stomach is full of fluid and unidentified organic matter, which is probably leftover food.
Ja, gut.
So let's check the diatoms. Again. But in a centrifuge for a change. The problem with examining drowned people is being able to show whether the death was due to drowning or whether something else contributed to the death. Cramp, heart attack, drugs, homicide, or some accident. Such an analysis requires viewing from different angles and a careful interpretation of the collected data, including those from the field. That's why it's so important to collect as many samples as possible. Unfortunately. Okay, this is one last little sample. Now set.
35 Minuten, 25% und 3 Milliliter. Rapp. 35 Minuten. Ich glaube 30 war es, gell? 25? Okay. Also ja, so. So. You spin me right round, baby, right round. Nö. Langweilig.
Done. I'll run it directly into the chromatograph and run it against the data from the police.
Nice.
I'm certain the analysis will show similarities between the fluid and water in Chelsea's well.
So, da 3 Milliliter waren es, glaube ich. Da rein, da. Bist du?
Let me think. 3 milliliters should be fine.
Ja. Unos, dos, tres. Passt. Und. Quah! Auch den.
Okay, now it's the chromatograph's turn.
Jetzt schauen wir mal, was rauskommt. Immer noch ein Trinken. Ja. Ja. Ja.
The water sample matches the one provided by the police.
Ich meine, bei aller Liebe, genau, die Arbeit nehmen, ja, aber jetzt übertreiben wir schon ein bisschen. Aber wir lernen alles kennen.
The results are quite clear. I was hoping it would be a more interesting case.
Wir machen viel unnötiges Zeug, aber
More diatoms. Analysis indicates the same origin.
also wir haben jetzt dann ungefähr 4-5 Mal bewiesen, dass er ersoffen ist, ertrunken. Bleiben wir fair. Ja?
There's little left to do. I'm going to check the airway patent. Interesting. Looks like there's something stuck in the trachea. I'm moving to the board for further inspection.
This is
November 20th, 1991. The autopsy is conducted by Jack Hanman. During the interrogation, a friend of the deceased admitted there was no indication of an impending tragedy. The body was found naked and mutilated. Sounds disturbing. I'll run the prints against the police database on the computer. The question now is whether it was an accident or a deliberate act. The police information appears correct. In the end, we're all just walking meat. Severe burns. There are bruises and hemorrhages on the neck. Tissue, lacerations, numerous blisters. As if someone was undecided. Why do people do such things? Now we say goodbye to the deceased and put them safely in the fridge. Everyone has a story to tell.